So to start with, we all know I'm opening up Visual Studio. We all know the templates available in Microsoft Office products. Templates allow us to baseline some of the content, which we call boilerplate, like readily available. As an example, when you type a letter and you want to know, okay, if there is template available in Word, you go on to any Microsoft, suppose you are using Word, you go to File, you click on New, and you select the letter template and start typing in. So there will be some boilerplate text already available. So in this case, what I'm going to show is how we can leverage templates across our projects, which can be used for Azure type cloud native apps. So to start with, I opened up Visual Studio. I clicked on New. I clicked on Project. So for the demo, I created a template called Finance IT. So if you say this is the only, no, there are other templates which are available in Visual Studio, but what we have done is in Finance, we have structured all the required components which forms a cloud native app, and we have created a template so that developers they doesn't have to worry about what kind of technology we have to incorporate in this particular field to get this going in Azure. So some of the examples you could see is I'm just clicking on the existing templates. So I created this .NET Core, which means it's an Azure native application. So there is a template for Finance IT. So I'm just creating a project, calling it as Visual IT Demo 1 with Finance IT Demo 1. So on clicking on OK, what this does is it's bringing in all the required technology, including web API, database project, SSDT, and all the microservices required because what I did is I researched on some of the apps existing and did some analysis, which are the shared components. So I formed a shared component. Say you upload a file and data gets loaded to the SQL server. So this is a common component which I identified by exploring different Finance IT apps. So what I did is I created a boilerplate code by migrating that piece of code into this template. So what that means is, by creating a project from this template, you will get a boilerplate code which can upload a file, Excel file, to a SQL server, and it is Azure native code. So the project, you could see it has automatically created all the required components. You could see the microservices, business layer, data access layer, the database you want to connect, the data test projects. So normally these are not available readily there, but these are the components which is required for. There was an error because the test projects requires the web and web API to be built first. So I'm rebuilding the test, restoring the packages for this test. So now you could see that I did nothing. I just clicked on a template. I got the entire vertical slicing with different components required to be in Azure readily available, and it can be used to upload a file from a network path to a Azure database. You can test the code. There are automated scripts. It's available in the template. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set some properties. So for this demo, I have already created a demo DB. So I'm not going to that section. So for the prerequisite is for this app to run is you need a demo. You need a database, and you connect the database project to that database that you have created. So how to do that? We do in this way, like we do a publish, and you select the DB where you want. Mostly I select the local DB, and this is already in sync. So let me run this project. And this project has a SSIS integration as well, where you upload the file and the file is read from the network location, and an SSIS package is triggered to load the data to the SQL Server. And again, this is a boilerplate code, and it can be used only for the first time when the project is created. So the developer, it's up to the developer to go ahead and change and tweak the code as required for his project. So now the code which is from the template, what this does is it runs a web API in the background. It runs a web, and web is currently coming up. It's trying to connect to a database, and it's trying to show a web UI, which you could see like this template is common to all finance apps, whichever I have analyzed, where you select the this is the default I just used for one of the project. You select the type, you browse to the files, and you click on save. It gets uploaded and you get the results in this grid. So as you could see, using this template, I just clicked on it and gave the project details, but I got the readily available boilerplate code, which is cloud native and easily migrated to so this is called a core app, and from a developer's perspective, it's a get going. So he just want to focus on the business requirements from here on. So you have the file, you have the Excel data in the SQL Server, then you can do recon on it, or you can do some variance analysis based on the requirement analysis, and you can embed the code. You have to first understand this flow, which I'm trying to add a readme file, where what is the structure of this, what are the different technologies required behind this template. So this helps a developer in order to rather than taking one by one from the project templates available. Say for the pain point now is, if this is not there, he has to go into file, he has to go into project, and he need to know what kind of project is required to, like, he has to select this first, then he need to think about, okay, what is the preferred way to connect a jQuery to web API, then he has to select the template for that. But in this, using templates, all the required components, we call it as microservices, can be well formed and shared across different development teams, and this can be used only during the start of a project. Once you have the project get going, it's again like the developer has to tweak the code so it meets its the business requirement. So how do I do this? So the template is hosted in a development server. I'm just going to the path. I did explain the benefits of using templates. So I'm just showing how this can be shared across the team. So I formed a in this is the hosted application. It's called Wix template. So this particular binary, it's a binary format of having the whole microservices into one package. And this is, as a developer, if you want this particular code, make sure the prerequisite is the database. You need a database before you have this code. Then what you have to do is go to extensions, go to options first, click on extensions, add this particular URL into your IDE. So once this URL is added, you can go into tools, extensions and updates, and click on templates. You could see I have installed it already. So if it is not installed, the template will be available in the gallery. So you select this and you get it installed. So once you install this, it will be available in the project templates under .NET Core Applications, and the name of the template is Finance IT. So any questions?
And if you have questions, I did mute everybody just to let you know. You should be able to unmute yourself, but if not, please let me know via the chat window. Yeah, so one question, Rajesh, I guess I wasn't clear on if developers want to utilize this. It's just you covered it, I think, at first, but it's how do they link to these libraries if the developers actually want to utilize these libraries that you've set aside?
Yeah, thanks, Brett. Good question. So for a developer, once he connects to the repo, he connects to the library. So he doesn't have to do anything from his side. What he has to do is he just want to create a project, selecting this template, and all these libraries will come automatically from the server. So he just want to understand the flow used in this template rather than adding it, because it's a preloaded code. So you could see, if I take this, like you have a data layer, and if I open this code is already there, which is a common shared component, and it's a .NET standard. Any C# developer can understand this. So these microservices, the data access layer, business layer, and business entities are the minimal shared components required for the requirement. Like if you want to upload a file to a database, so we have formed a like you could see the minimum microservices required in C# to get it done. So to your question, Brett, developer has nothing to do. He just want to select this template, create the project, make sure the templates build successfully, and the database is connected. That's it. Only thing he need to understand the flow, like how the web interacts with web API and how the web API interacts with other microservices. Did that answer your question, Brett?
Yes, thank you.
So how much time you probably looked at this, right? So just to get a feel of it, how much time does developer right now takes to do this initial setup? What is the saving potential you would get by moving to this? And maybe like once you use the template, there probably maybe some customization people need to do. So if you take overall, somebody goes and sets up on their own, and if they use the template and do the customization, what do you see as a saving or benefit to the project?
Good question, Bala. Like it's a debatable question, but from my experience, it saves around 3 days, because as a developer, if I have to create this pure Azure Microsoft native code, so when I say native code, it has nothing to do with old platforms. So first thing is there is a learning curve. So it's saving actually 3 days from my experience, but it's open to all developers. it's not like vetted like estimate, but just from my experience, what I do is developers get a blank projects. Like if you go in here, say from day one, he has to work on web. He has to click on this. He has to, so day one, he will be setting up this template. If I select this, it's just a web component. So he has to know, okay, what it means by .NET Core Web and what is the technology he has to select. So he should know, okay, there are three options in web by default from Visual Studio. So he should know what is web application. So he clicked on OK. Now on day one, he will be setting up this to interact with Web API. And again, it's not mandatory that you can embed all this logic in one web application, but when it go to design review, architects recommend to have a scalable application. So then he has to go through the coding standards, the design guidelines. So to your question, Bala, yes, we can say 3 days, but that 3 days, it's again, we have to verify it.
So I would like to add something here. So I would say 3 to 5 days because there are a few standards that we follow for JH. Like for TeamCity configuration, we would have various settings as well. I think in this template you can add that and some NuGet packages that we would need for all standard packages. So even those reference you could add over here, and we can make sure that everything is pointing to the same single location instead of we pointing or each project pointing to a different location. And so that way as well it will really be helpful on top of whatever he has said right now. So I think this one will at least save 3 to 5 days, that initial setup period for each of the teams. That's what I could see.
Yeah, and we could see like when we select one of the template, this is the default boilerplate, but from here there is nothing. It will help us to connect to our applications like finance applications. But the template for finance, it has all the boilerplate code, how to read a file, how to get connect to a SQL server, how to invoke a SSIS package. And we are planning to have a README page like this so that it's kind of a documentation to the developer. Like in this case, I don't know web app code. So I have to go through this documentation. If I'm new to Azure applications, I have to go through this tutorials. So Microsoft is saying is, you learn this, you understand what the latest technologies are, then whatever fits to your business, you select those and create your app. But in the template that we have created, it's purely exploring different finance apps already we have, and it will save, like as Shan said, it could be different for different developers, but it's 3 to 5 days is pretty good number.
So the README file will have just list out all the components or the features that you have included in the pre-build.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I say some project customizes something that's totally different. So they can put their, hoping that should be simple for them to add one more template that, so we can share templates, basically. That's what I'm kind of trying to get at. If some team goes and does some work, then it becomes a shareable template. You can put it out, another flavor of the template. So you have, as we grow, there is opportunity to kind of put any standardized ones. So people would be over the period able to pick and choose.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Rajesh, we can integrate this with JFrog repository, right?
Yeah, to your question, yes, we can host it because it just requires an Atom file. So I inquired with the DevOps team. We can host it in the JFrog repository, the Artifactory.
Right. I think it would be better we plan that because JFrog pilot might start. We can check with Anush. I think we should, if it is useful, I think we should host it in JFrog. That way it's more reusable and we could put all the components in JFrog, right?
Yeah, and so I already have a discussion with Anush. They are open to host this, but I'm just gathering info as Bala told. Like this template is like we need to have a questionnaire kind of thing across different BUs or different developers and get the common functionalities and integrate it, create different templates and host it. To begin with, we can host this and